It is the beginning of a working week. Let's step out in confidence and determination that everything will work out for our goods. No one is above weaknesses. Let's build on our strong points and don't allow words of mouth discourage us. Build on yourself and step out in confidence and determination that everything will work out for your good. It is the 4th day in the month of October 2021, and the good news is that the National Association of Resident Doctors have resumed after the 2-month ongoing strike, and work resumes by 8 a.m. today, which is Monday, the 4th of October 2021, and we're reviewing stories making headlines on our national papers. I am Owolabi Tosin, and I will be reviewing papers alongside Bok KP. And good morning, Bok.
Good morning, Tosin.
Hope you had a good weekend.
I did. How was yours?
Fine, thank God. And I'm happy that resident doctors have resumed. We know we have patients in the hospital. This is a time for them to look out to all these patients, and we just hope that something will be done about their payment. And other sectors that are looking out on ways they can go on strike, something should be done about it, because it's really bad for doctors to go on strike for 2 months. You know that the masses were affected. Those who couldn't pay the bill for private hospitals were affected, but thank God they are back to the hospital. We just hope that they render their services accordingly.
Of course, we just hope so, and it's always our hope and earnest prayer that everything works out for the benefit of the people of Nigeria and for the best of the growth of the economy. And having the health sector undergoing this crisis is really a major setback, because the health sector is one of the sectors that is a driving force towards growing economy in any nation you go. Trust me, Tosin, whenever you have a good health sector, trust me, other things will fall into places. But since we have the resident doctors' hands back on deck, we just pray that nothing like this will come up again, and the federal government and the association of the resident doctors will always work to and always have common ground where they will resolve issues to strike at the end of the day.
Thank you. Let's move with our paper, the first paper, which is the Nation newspaper.
And on the Nation, we have here the big story saying federal government to put wheat on import restriction list. CBN plans massive local production to save $2 billion spent annually. Legal icon William's son Ladi dies at 74, bows to COVID-19 test jabs. Headers attack. Igangon seeks 193 million naira damages. Community list items. Investors make 1.2 trillion naira gain in third quarter. Still on COVID-19, Nigerian UK scientists set records. And the last story here says Army's Operation Stillwater begins in Lagos, Ogun. These are the stories making headline on the Nation newspaper. We also have a picture story here. You want to know what this picture story is all about? Do well to get the Nation newspaper and read more detail of other stories that interest you. As you can also call us later on the show. Let's hear your views and opinions on stories that interest you more.
And for Daily Sun newspaper, the Sun award priceless honor to Mustafa Ado Mohammed. While the big story says Anambra boils, Joe Ibokwe's home burnt, DSS office attacked. With the rider businessman killed, secretariat touched in Nsukka, and governors meet over spate of attack in southeast. We must work together to salvage our country, and this is coming from Nyesom Wike. IPOB woes Yoruba, other agitators on planned 1-month sit at home. The rider says insist on action if Kanu is not brought to court October 21st. PDP convention showdown looms over zoning, and NDLEA intercept imported liquid cannabis from students, cocaine hidden in certificates. And on value-added tax, 3 northern states to join forces against Lagos and Rivers. And that's all for the Daily Sun newspaper.
And up next is the Punch newspaper, where the big story here is on anti-open grazing law. Federal government backs herders' planned suits against South governors. Police differ on enforcement. More detail of this story is on page 8, with the riders. Nigerians whose rights are violated can go to court, says AGF office. Law to enforce force headquarters backing from the police. Still on COVID-19, World Bank approves $11.5 billion for Nigeria. Others. AGF Kaduna others may face Lagos Rivers on VAT appeal. Senate SANS disagree over INEC's power on e-transmission of results. White Money wins BB Niger Season 6, carts home 90 million naira prize. Buhari lands in Addis Ababa for Ethiopia's PM inauguration. Senate summons FAN MD over 1.5 billion naira indebtedness to NIMET. On Anambra killings, 2 gunned down, DSS office burnt, teaching hospital invaded. Ondo lecturer kidnapped on deplorable Akure Ado highway. Abductors demand 10 million naira. Man carrying gun in viral video, army rector, not defense minister, says aide. 4 Lagos church worshippers killed, mounting flag as electric cable snaps. That's a sad one there. And the last story here, Army begins three special operations against kidnapping, banditry, and others. You want to know more details on this story? Do well to get the paper and read details on page 12 of the Punch. That's all the stories making headline on the Punch newspaper.
And for the Guardian newspaper, 300,000 shareholders abandon dividends over inflation and red tape. Resident doctors may call off strike today, and death toll in Kaduna attack rises to 40. Anambra government blames APC federal government for insecurity in states. Kogi alleges smear campaign against governor, with details in page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. And 5 northern states join FIRS in VAT dispute against Rivers and Lagos. PGF DG says Sanwo-Olu allegiance with Wike on VAT might be chest-turning. And looking at this, we have picture story on the Guardian newspaper. Do well to visit the Guardian newspaper for more stories on it. That's all for the Guardian.
And up next is This Day. The big story here says unapologetic for PDP's ticket. ITO slams $2.5 billion suit against Shell over sale of OML 29. Claims oil multinational breached a fundamental term agreement for assignment. Irabo, this is our most challenging period in nation's history. And the last story here is still on Ibokwe's house, DSS, FRSC buildings touched in Anambra. We also have picture story here. You want to know what the picture story is all about? Get This Day newspaper, and that's all the stories making headline today.
And for Nigerian Tribune, federal government yet to release 19 billion naira revitalization funds 3 months after proposal. And the rider says ASUP meets today. And on a sad note, Laddie Williams dies of COVID-19. how duplication of agencies, poor funding clogs Nigerians' renewable energy plans. And on value-added tax, Adamawa, Kaduna, Plateau set to join FIRS in legal battle against Rivers and Lagos, with details in page 5. While the big story here, PDP Northern Power Brokers mobilized ahead of NEC meeting. The rider says evolve Plan B. Consider Lamido for chairmanship. How Makinde, other governors swayed chairmanship posts to northern region. Atiku meets governors, promises to abide by zoning. RMAFC begins revenue allocation. RMAFC begins revenue allocation formula review process today. 4 killed, 3 injured as high-tension cable falls on church in Lagos. Kogi government exposes smear campaign plot against Bello, says we will respond with applicable legal force. Scores feared drown in Rivers jetty collapse. And FRSC DSS offices Joe Ibokwe's house burnt in Nnewi, 2 killed, and INEC worries over worsening insecurity in Anambra. Poor city of Fon stalls federal road project in state, and this is an investigation, with the rider saying residents decry deplorable state of road, and many of the contracts for the rehabilitation and construction of federal roads in some states of the federation are currently delayed due to paucity of fund. Findings by Nigerian Tribune showed that some of the roads which contracts were awarded in 2018 with 2021 set as delivery dates are still at an infant stage, while in some situations the contractors have abandoned the construction site, leaving residents and motorists in agony while passing through the roads on a daily basis. And full details of the story will be continued in page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. While the picture story, President Muhammadu Buhari unveiling Guinness World Record largest photo book, Discover Nigeria, a 7.8 meters by 7.8 meters on its horizontal breadth when opened at a ceremony in Abuja on Thursday. And downside of the Nigerian Tribune, we have governance beyond politics. In 2019, Governor Fayemi signed the Ekiti State Transition Bill into law, aimed at preventing succeeding administration from abandoning projects. If you're interested in this article on governance beyond politics, do well to find it in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper on page 7 of the Tribune newspaper. And that's all for the Nigerian Tribune.
Thank you, Tosin. Up next is the Daily Times, and we have only one story making headline on this paper, which says opposition unfairly portraying APC Buhari in bad light. This is coming from PGF, with the rider says opposition parties taking advantage of passive official communication by APC federal government. More detail is on page 2. Rather, you can do well to get the paper and read details of this story and other stories you can find on the Daily Times.
Yes, thank you, Bok. Looking at the story on Nigerian Tribune, where we have on value-added tax, Adamawa, Kaduna, Plateau set to join FIRS in legal battle against Rivers and Lagos. You're talking about the value-added tax. You know, we had issues when Rivers State and Lagos State signed into agitated that this value-added tax should go back to the states, which will be used for growth and development in those states, because they have so many infrastructure. When you look at Lagos State, there are so many infrastructure in those states, and the governor said the value-added tax given to the federal level at the end of it, a little amount is coming back to the state and used for worth when you can't see issue of development in the state. So they spoke about using this value added tax coming back to the state, and it should be used for growth and development in the state. And we saw that even Rivers State Governor also agreed with this, with the value added tax. And now we can see that other governors in Adamawa State, Kaduna and Plateau are saying no to such, that value added tax should go back to the government, it should go back to the federal level. And we know that even when it go back to the federal level, it's being shared among them. And I just see this as a means of relaxing by other state governors, because we have different states. When this money go back to the state, definitely other states that are relaxed, it will help them to sit up, to look out for ways they can have infrastructures in their state. And also we know that this value added tax, if it go back to the state, it will help reduce the burden on the federal level. When you talk about the fund that is supposed to come from the federal level to different states, it will help reduce, because on a state they can stand on their own, on a state they can generate income for themselves and even create other sectors, help those other sectors that are dying, and even help tax should go back to the federal level. We know that even last week the governor of Kaduna State kept on talking about where they had